Greetings, everyone. Welcome to episode 30 of the I Thrive podcast. It's your boy, Sundin Esperance. Today, I have another guest for you. Her name is Lori King. Lori was a homosexual for 25 years. That's a very, very long time. And I'm excited to hear how Lori, was able to come out after all that time. As you know, this podcast is sponsored by JEVEUXJOUERCA. JEVEUXJOUERCA is a life skills program that teaches a variety of activities through sports to kids. It also has tutoring services for children as well. So you can go on jeveuxjouer.ca. Link is in the description. This podcast affiliates itself with only one church, and it's First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ, where a leader, teacher, and guide is Apostle Pastor Gino Jennings. You can go on YouTube and search Gino Jennings up. You can also go on thetruthofgod.com to see if there is a church in your area. All right, so we're gonna get started here. Um, Lori has been in this lifestyle, and I believe it was just lesbian, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so this was just lesbian. She wasn't a transgender or anything like that. And I think I mean for me, right, I could be wrong, but 25 years is a long time when you're in something. You almost never think the person's going to come out, and you yourself, you may never think you can come out. And as you see, moreover, there's people who are constantly coming out, of that, the community, LGBT community. Moreover, there's constant people who are starting to realize what is right and what is wrong. Once again, if those who don't know, if you're new, um I don't hate homosexuals. I don't hate anybody, period. So my intentions is not to simply say, hey, let's go and kill homosexuals, let's go and burn their houses down, let's go steal from them, let's make sure they never work again in their life, let's make sure we make them drown in the ocean, let's make sure we throw eggs at their heads, let's make sure we beat them up. That is not the intention at all. So I am making that clear. If somebody feels as though, I think his intention is to really maybe want to end up killing us, that is not it at all. The intention is to find people who are in that lifestyle to educate, myself and those who are currently in that lifestyle as well. Like I say, moreover, it's one thing for me to say and talk about, man, the homosexuals, and which it is, it's a lifestyle that has been crazy and that has taken over like the world. This is all over the place. It's always different when, somebody who was actually in it, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, but 25 years as a lesbian, and now from lesbian for 25 years has come to the right way, and being in her right form, and that's being straight. So without further ado, Mrs. Lori, we're going to leave the floor for you and just start at the very beginning on how all this started. How did did you just wake up one day and you decided, what, I'm going to, because that's a lot of years. 25 is a lot of years. And so actually, even before that, how are you doing?
Uh, I'm doing well.
That's good. That's wonderful. That's good. And where are you located in the States again?
I live in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
Newsmary Beach?
New Smyrna,
New Smyrna. Okay. I
New
never,
Smyrna Beach. It's
how
close to Daytona Beach.
I've heard of Daytona. How far is it from like Fort Lauderdale and Miami?
A few hours.
Oh, okay, okay.
Miami, probably 5 hours.
5 hours. Okay, so it's kind of like out there like that. Okay, okay. I never
Yeah,
heard.
on the East Coast.
Okay, never heard of Smyrna Beach. I know I have a couple. I have a family in Florida. So I mean, my background's Haiti, so you probably knows a lot of Haitians over there. But yeah, so let's get started. How did how did everything start for you, and how was it for you growing up?
um, Growing up, I'm a sibling of 7 other children, so I had a big family, and my father was an alcoholic.
Oh.
My mother was also an alcoholic. Um, and we had a pretty normal family for the most part. Um, well, I don't really remember when I was younger. So as I got older, there was a lot of domestic violence. We were placed in a few homes a couple times. We were separated, off and on, but my parents got their stuff together and got us back. It was back and forth continuously for a while there. And I do want to say this because I feel like, a lot of homosexuals, a lot of people say homosexuals are gay or lesbian because, they had something happen to them in their childhood. So I was molested by an uncle. I guess like in my tweens, I really I haven't talked about it in a while. So anyways, I'm not really sure if that has anything to do with the way I changed my lifestyle. I don't really know. But I just wanted to mention that. But where it came in at, I was about 24 years old. I got married very young. I was married, I think, at 18. I have 2 children. My first child I had at 16, with my high school sweetheart, Then we did not stay together. Then I left. I left him. I had my daughter. My daughter was about 3 months old, and I met my husband, which I was married to for about 7 years. Okay. Then I had another child. So I had 2 girls. And the 7, 8 years that I was married to my ex-husband, the first few years were great. It's always good. But during that time, it just didn't seem right to me. So I didn't start off being a homosexual or a lesbian. It came later in my years. But I think due to my childhood, I've tried to think about it and put it all together, like why I would have became a lesbian. Like I think back about my past, and I had a pretty rough past most of the time, with the domestic violence and the alcohol and a little bit of drugs involved and stuff. And my mom left us for a while, for a couple years. She left all of us kids with an aunt. So it was a pretty emotional time for me. So I felt like I didn't have a mom, a lot growing up. And sometimes I feel like that's kind of where my homosexuality goes back to. Like I felt that I didn't have that mother nurturing love from a mom, so I have a very interesting story. So at like 24, 25 years old, I'm not really sure of the age, I was married to my husband, and he was abusive. Not really bad, but it was enough to make me not want to stay. My children were like 3 and 5, maybe. I was involved in church, and it was a little country church, and there was a pastor, and then there was an assistant pastor. Well, the assistant pastor turned out to counsel me through my abuse with my husband at that time. And I just kept going to church and coming back home. And after a few months, some more physical abuse came up. So I decided to take my kids and leave. So I had established a relationship with her as friends. She was the closest one that I had to at that time. She always prayed with me and counseled me. So I called her when I was going to take my girls and leave. And I said, I'm going to take the girls and leave, and I'm going to go to Georgia to my brother's. And she's like, why don't you not do that right now? She's like, you can bring the children and come stay with me. Then you can stay in church, and so forth and so on. So I did that. I took my girls, left that relationship, and I went with her, and I stayed counseling with her. I stayed in church. The church was on her property, like because she was the assistant pastor. That's where my first lesbian relationship came in at. She
From
was,
somebody that was in church?
yes.
Oh.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I'm
no,
not going to
be
mention
honest,
any
be honest, be
names.
plain, be plain. Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. That's
Right. I was 24 and she was 44.
Wow.
So I was very, and her husband had passed away of a heart attack, and they had been together for like, I'm just assuming maybe 17, 18 years.
Yeah, yeah.
She was just someone that I felt really close to. Like, to be honest with you, it was more like a mother type relationship.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was, but there was also an emotional, there was like emotional dependency there. There was an emotional connection. So my children and I lived with her for, let's just say a year. We stayed there. I left my husband. I got divorced. He still visited with the kids and stuff, but I stayed in that relationship. Well, I stayed with her for a year before anything happened between us. We took a year to emotionally connect, like over a period of time. We just connected and it just happened, like, we ended up in a relationship. And it was, I stayed in a relationship with her for 14 years.
Oh.
So she raised my 2 children, but maybe because she was an assistant pastor, we battled a lot spiritually. And at moments we just we still stayed in church the entire time, pretty much, but we both struggled a lot spiritually, and we broke up multiple times and tried to let go, but there was just a connection there that, we couldn't let go. And what happened there, and then during that stay of 14 years, I would say about 3 years into that, her head pastor called her to a meeting, and they had discovered that we were together. They asked her about it. She did not want to talk about it. So she just gave up her position as an assistant pastor in the church for our relationship. So I continued staying. We stayed together 14 years, and my father got sick with cancer, and I had to come to his house to take care of him. So it was about 2 hours away. So we just grew more distant. We stayed seeing each other for a little while, and then I was reaching out to someone else, and I connected with another lesbian relationship. And then I broke up with her, and she actually got saved again and rededicated her life to God, and she got married to a man. So, and she's a really good friend of mine now. It took a long time.
Yeah.
It took many years. It probably took about 8 years before we could connect in that way again.
That's going to take time. Yeah.
But during that, like after that was all over with, like I wrote her a very long letter, and tried to explain to her, like, after I came out of that, I had a moment there. I didn't jump right into another relationship. There was a little bit, I was talking to the other girl, but I wasn't in a committed relationship, so during that time I wrote her a letter, and I just tried to explain to her how I felt and why I felt that happened with us, and she kind of got a little bit angry because I told her, she was like a mother figure to me. Like and she's like, how can you separate that, like us being in a relationship and I loved you more than anything, but you saying that I was like a mom. So I never really connected all that. Like, that's just that was just the way I perceived it, like I've tried to figure out, like, so from, being molested as a child, and I just felt like I went to her for that nurturing, like she was a lot older than me, And it was just like a mother relationship at first. She was just like a almost like a spiritual mom. I know it sounds crazy because she was an assistant pastor, and like I dealt with a lot of guilt with that afterwards. You know, it was a long time. Um, but we had a normal life. You know, like we dealt a lot with it spiritually, but she raised my children, and my children loved her, and um, we did everything like a married couple would do. You know, we went on vacations, and she was very compassionate and very good with my kids. She loved them, you know. And then I just met the other girl,
Yeah.
and that's a that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. So
I don't know
then,
if you. Yeah.
yeah, no, no, no. You could mention that other story within the other girl. So during these times, were you like convinced that like this is right, or did you have like a heavy heart where, man, I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong, while being like lesbian.
I had a heavy heart, definitely. Like I said, I dealt with it spiritually a lot, but I just pushed it aside. You know, like I stayed in church from a very young child. Even when I was put in foster homes and put in different homes, I was always the one that always stayed in church. God like followed me everywhere. Like he just, I'm so grateful for that, because I always, when I got put in a Christian school, so I've always had that, you know, to bring with me. Like, um, but yeah, I struggled a lot spiritually with it. It was just, you know, say like 2 or 3 years we would be good, and then, you know, for a couple months I just struggled with it, and we would separate for a little while. We tried to separate so many times because it was just like, um you know, it was like a battle, like um with the devil and Jesus. You know, it was just like it was a constant battle. There was a few years there that we just kept putting everything away, like, you know, like we weren't trying to go by the Bible or anything. You know, a lot of homosexuals too always try to find a loophole. You know, like I even went to different churches. I went to United Church of Christ churches, and where they were open and affirming without my spouse at that time. You know, I went by myself because I just kept trying to figure. I'm like, you know, I was thinking to myself, like, how could um God not approve of us just loving someone?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I dealt with that a lot. I did a lot of research on homosexuality and gay relationships in the Bible and a lot of books, and I accepted it for a while that it was okay. And then God just never let off, you know. So I definitely know I have a calling for my life, like with that.
You never had like because I know sometimes, or not sometimes, a lot of times homosexuals, they have a strong, I wouldn't say a strong hate. You have some that will kind of say, oh, it's okay, God loves me like this and I'm gonna go to heaven, all this and that. But then you have others who just completely like they hate it. Like whenever they would hear any teaching that was against that lifestyle, like they would just, man, it'd be crazy. They would be, how can you say this and blah blah blah. And today it's a very controversial topic. It's a lot of people are scared to speak out against it because of it, and they're afraid of so many things that could happen within left and right. But it doesn't stop, anyone. No, it doesn't stop a few people. I mean, it doesn't stop a few people. But for yourself, when you were, in these relationships and all, and then you knew it was like wrong. It was a fight. There was one point, man, you know what, this is okay, and then another point, nah, it can't be. So because I mean, for 25 years, right? So was there a time where you said that, like, this is it, you're not going back to, being straight, like that's it? Or, and also, how did your kids like deal with that? Because they're your biological kids, you didn't adopt them.
Yes. No.
It's different from when you adopt a kid and he kind of sees mom, and then dad. But now you have your biological kids and they known you as, mom with dad, and like it's now mom with, another woman. So how did they deal with that as well?
Well, I definitely struggled with my children. They were maybe 3 and 5. So the first few years I was in that relationship, it was okay because they just felt the affection and love from her. But when I think they probably hit about, let's say about 8 and 10 years old, maybe. Well, what happened is I had them call her aunt
Okay.
by her name.
Mm.
So aunts, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how we approached it in the beginning. So my oldest daughter, um, uh, we kind of hid it from them for a while. We were just till they hit about 8 and 10 years old. And
Mhm.
what happened is I'm kind of embarrassed of it or whatever, but my oldest daughter seen us kissing,
Mhm.
you know, and she came to me and she was very upset. She must have been about 10, maybe 11. She was very upset and she was very confused.
Mm.
And she said, "Mom, why are you kissing a girl and you're kissing my aunt?"
And she's 10. She's 10 years old at that time.
Yes, she was about
Wow.
maybe 10 or 11.
10 or 11. Oh.
So it really, we discussed it then. And I tried to explain to her, at that time, I tried to explain to her, I said, she's like, she didn't like this. And I said, I understand, but I love her. And I said, you can't choose who I love. I'm an adult. And as long as she's not physically hurting you or sexually hurting you and she loves you, you're just going to have to accept it.
Mm.
It's just going to, we love you and we take good care of you, and I just explained it to her that way. But later on in the years, she's like, I don't know, maybe 20, 27, 28 now. In her teenage years, both of my children told me how much it bothered them. They got better with it as they got, actually, I thought they would get worse being teenagers, but they got better.
Mm.
They were okay with it being teenagers. And even when they got like, maybe like 13 and 15, they were okay with it. And even as they got older, 17, 18, um, they were more accepting of it, like they were okay with it. So, um, it's, it definitely, I had to put them in some counseling and stuff, it definitely affected them. And I don't know that I honestly really paid a lot of attention due to that relationship at the time. I did address it with them, but I just felt like, I was an adult and they were the children and they weren't being harmed or anything. And that, but I never led my children. My children came to me and asked me. So I definitely have a different story. I never let them know it was okay. I never told them it was okay to be a homosexual because they asked me. So I told them because I believed it was. That's the way I was raised. I believed it was a sin. And
Mm.
I was raised Pentecostal, but I just made that choice for myself. I loved her so much that I chose to stay in that relationship with her regardless.
Wow.
But I never told my children it was okay. I never told them you can go to heaven and be gay. You can go
Yeah.
to heaven and be a
So,
homosexual. It is a sin.
yeah.
Mm.
So you never pretty much you were, and this is the first time I'm hearing this because usually it's, the parents are letting the kids know, hey, it's fine. This is completely normal. This is the 21st century, blah, 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 this and that. And you have it today as well. A lot of kids who are put up for adoption end up with a lot of homosexual couples. So in this case, what you're saying is even though you were homosexual, you were lesbian in a lesbian relationship, and your daughter comes and they see it, but not just your daughter. You let all your kids know, even though I'm in this relationship, just know that it's wrong.
I did.
Yeah. And what did they ever ask you? Okay, so then, mom, if it's wrong, why do you keep doing it?
Yes,
Wow.
they did. And I just told them that I loved her. And, because at one point, if I remember correctly, maybe my younger daughter had told me, if you're going to do this, basically when they were younger, you're going to go to the devil. And I just said, I just love her, and I'm just, as a young child, I explained it to him differently. I was just like, I'm just praying about it. Like, this is how I feel though. I explained to them how I feel, but, we discussed it, biblically that it wasn't okay.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, I just, I never felt that it was okay. It's just something, it was just, in my flesh, it was just a choice that I made. And
So how does that like carry on where it's not okay, but I mean, I know there's other things that could be compared, but within this, and like you were public, like you were public with it, right?
not really.
Oh,
Not in this relationship. In the first relationship, I wasn't really, because due to she was an assistant pastor.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
So we hid it for a very long time. Actually, we pretty much hid it the entire time because we lived in a very small town
mm,
and everybody knew everybody. It was a very small country town.
yeah,
So, and we did that by her choice because she chose not to. I was okay with expressing myself.
yeah.
She wasn't, I'm assuming because she didn't want to be judged. So when we went out of town, like if we went out of state on vacations and stuff, we held hands, we kissed publicly,
Mhm.
we were just like together. But when we were in the town, we were still surrounded by all the church people for all the years entirely, even after she stepped down. So we still fellowshipped with some of the church people and stuff. So no one ever asked us. No one ever asked us except for the pastor that one time.
Mm,
None of the other people we were around ever asked us. They just fellowshipped with us.
mhm.
We did Bible studies together continuously. Nothing, and for the most part, most of it was just normal. Um, and then, there was times that there was a lot of conviction.
Yeah,
We both dealt with a lot. It's really hard to explain. Like,
yeah, yeah.
like we both dealt with a lot spiritually. We went through a lot of spiritual battles and trying to get out of it. And
That's
I don't know.
that's wow. That's
Love is a powerful thing. It
yeah,
is
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Love is a powerful thing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Seemed like it was a real struggle. Whereas this is honestly, this is the first time I'm pretty much hearing this where you're in something where it's like, man, I shouldn't be, but it kept on going. Now, because I mean, when did that moment in time come where like you were done with that lifestyle, and what was going on mentally as well?
You're talking about not that just that relationship, the lifestyle completely,
Yeah,
correct?
so like in terms of not just that relationship, so the lifestyle completely, because you were in that relationship with
And
someone
then I
who's
was previously in another relationship for approximately like 9 years.
or 9 years, okay, 9 years,
Mhm.
and then so in terms, so yeah, so the last relationship of 9 years, that was the last one you were in until you came out of that
Yes, and
lifestyle.
it's been very recently.
Oh, very
Um,
recently. Okay, okay.
yes, I was with her for 9 years, and
Mhm.
after about 4 years, we when they passed the gay marriage, we got married.
Oh,
So
when they passed
we got
there's a law they have to pass.
yes.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think it was maybe in 2015.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was like January 5th, 2015.
Was
So
it
like
like
the
something
second,
Obama had to sign?
I believe so.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, he did it. Okay,
I
okay,
believe
okay.
that
No,
he
no,
did
yeah, because he had two terms.
legalizing gay marriage.
Yeah, he had two terms.
So
He's the one that legalized it. Obama was the one that. Okay, okay. Wow.
so we got married, legally married, and she carried my last name. So um, I kept my last name, just like male and female,
Mhm.
and she carried my last name. Um, we did actually, it was, my girls were grown by then. So I think my youngest was maybe 16, 17, maybe 17.
Mhm.
When I met my ex-wife, she had two boys. They were like maybe 7 and 10, something like maybe 5 and 10, 5 and 10 when I met them.
Mhm.
So I stayed in that relationship. Again, we stayed in church. Actually, when I met her, um, she wasn't very much of a churchgoer, but I still stayed in church, and I was just still on that path. I never let go of God the entire time. I never let go of God from as small as a child I was. Um, and I talked to her, and I told her, if I want to be with you, this is my church. This is where we go. So we stayed in church the entire time. Her boys came to church. We were a family. I had two girls. She had her two boys. My girls were grown. Then I ended up having grandchildren. Uh, then I had I the thing with my ex-wife was I had some very obsessive behaviors with her. A lot of jealousy, which I don't really know that I want to say this publicly, but which stems back to something she lied to me about. That was pretty. Actually, I'm just going to say it because I think it has a lot to do with my journey through this. So, because I'm not mentioning any names, she lied to me, and when I was taking care of my father was passing away from cancer, and she lied to me and told me that she had cancer after I met her. Say maybe like a few months after I met her. And I don't mean to throw anyone out here. Like, I just feel like this is part of my story. So, I don't know that I should have done that, but it's okay. She lied to me and said she had cancer, and it took a couple years to, it took about 6 months to figure it out for me that it was not the truth. So it was my last few months I was taking care of my dad, and my dad was actually dying of cancer. So she had told me she had cancer and that she was critically sick. So I took some attention away from my father to give to her, during my dad's last few months. So after I found out, 6 months or a year later, after I found out about it, that's where I confronted her with it. And I told her, I said, you're such an amazing person. You're such a good person. But I think there was something mentally there, maybe like a narcissist or something like that with her, that made her, because I asked her why she did it. And she said, because she wanted to feel more loved, like she wanted the attention. But it really, really affected me mentally for a long time, because I felt like I took away time from my dying father and gave it to her. There's a lot more to the story, but I kept leaving him and going with her, and then back and forth. Then, in my head at like, I don't know, maybe 42 years old, I'm thinking I fell in love with this girl. She's amazing. I'm losing my father, and I was always a daddy's girl. And then I'm going to fall in love with this girl, and she's going to die too. So it really taunted me for a while. So I think we started having problems in our marriage a couple years after that, because I feel that led me not to trust her. I forgave her for it. Well, I thought I forgave her for it. And I just gave her some direction and what she needed to do to try to get some help to where this wouldn't happen again. With some counseling and stuff, she went to that. We stayed together. But every time, we got into an argument or something, that always bothered me. It always has stayed with me. So I don't really know like how to say it, but I kind of hated her for that, because I feel like she took away time from my dad. So I think that had a lot to do with our, I don't really know. I don't necessarily want to blame it all on that, but I was very jealous of her. I was very obsessive with her. I didn't trust her at all. So we just kept having more problems and arguing, and we went to marriage counseling. We tried so hard to save our marriage, but I also feel that I also still struggled with her spiritually, just like I did with my previous relationship. So there was moments, and I tried to explain to her, I was like, this isn't right, because I would get these moments in them 9 years, probably 20 times, where I would get, I feel like it was God just pushing me. This is not okay. This is not okay. And we just kept trying to make it work. And we ended up separating about 3 years before we broke up. We ended up separating for a whole year. We lived separate. I lived with my daughter, and she lived with her parents, but we still stayed seeing each other every weekend. Every other weekend we seen each other. That led on for a year. Then we moved back together for a year. I did have some, we never really fought physically, but a lot of emotional. And we argued a lot. And now that I think about it, Not that God would normally do something like that, but I just feel like throughout my whole journey of me being a homosexual, like God has stayed with me and he just kept putting something in my way, like it would just never, none of my relationships would never stay working. Like I always had problems. And then the fleshly part of me just thought it was so normal, I just kept striving to make my marriage work. But then so let me get to the point where we recently have separated. Like the last year that she lived with her mother, she was taking care of her parents and I was taking care of my parents. We were both working jobs. Everything was normal. We just had a lot of arguing still, and we were just kind of slowly breaking up, slowly falling apart. I still had some religion-based stuff that I was like, this isn't right, and we talked about it, and we even went through the Bible together, and she believed it was okay. And I still, all this time, 20 plus years later, still felt that conviction that it wasn't okay. But then she would talk to me and comfort me and say, it's going to be okay, and we just kept going with our relationship. So the last year, we separated again, the very last year of our marriage, which was last year. She lived with her parents. My parents lived with me. It narrowed down to where we were like only seeing each other on Fridays for just like 3 or 4 hours every week. We were married and we only seen each other, and we only lived a block apart. But due to our schedules and everything, we just stayed seeing each other a few hours. It just got more, we grew further away, and I was feeling lonely. So I reached out and I was talking to some other women. Never had a relationship or anything. I was married, but I was just reaching out. And then I had talked to her several times about like, I love you. I don't want to let you go, but I'm lonely. So I was still in church at that time. Then we go to church for a couple months. I was just like, I just felt like now that I've rededicated my life, I feel like, wow, like I have been through such a battle, for 25 years, just off and on, off and on, off and on the whole time. And I'm amazed because God never let me go. He stayed with me the entire time. So after she found out I was talking to them girls, we had some more issues. She basically broke up with me. She came to my house, and she sat on the side of this is like really weird. She sat on the side of the bed with me, and we did the probably halfway normal breakup thing. We held hands and we cried. We did the mature thing. We talked about why we were separating, like we talked about it. And she held my hand and she told me, I said, but why? Like, I know I screwed up, like I know I was talking to other women, but I was lonely, we're not seeing each other that much anymore. And I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I was just, she tells me God basically, God said that we needed to separate, and I was okay with it because in my head, I was thinking, okay, I know really God has plans for us now. Like we're going to get a divorce. We're going to separate. Both of us have been in church. So I'm going to go my way. She's going to go her way. But I know that God will keep us in some type of relationship and connected, maybe spiritually, is what I was thinking, because she's the one that told me she feels like God wanted us to separate. So I just felt like it was confirmation. And the first few weeks, it was very challenging. It was very hard, because we lived close to each other. We texted each other, and just tried to work through some emotions. Well, maybe like 1 month afterwards, she ended up in another relationship with another woman. So that really caused some confusion with me because, it was like her telling me God wanted us to separate. That's what she felt. And then she didn't really go into detail, you know, like, and then her ending up in another relationship with a woman was very hard for me to accept. I was kind of angry at God for a bit. I was like, you know, like, I thought we were going to do this the right way, you know, like, why? Then I just thought about it and I'm like, um, you know, I kind of felt special. Like, I mean, I really still care about her and stuff, you know, like, but I kind of felt special because I feel like God chose me, you know. I believe he chose her too in the beginning, but you know, we all have choices. But so she chose to go in another relationship with another woman, you
Mhm.
know, but I feel like we were called out of that lesbian lifestyle.
Mhm.
She made a choice to go back into it or stay in it.
Yeah.
And I just felt so strongly convicted that um I chose, you know, I feel like, well, I mean, really, I feel like God chose me. Like I said, I feel like throughout all this whole journey of my whole lesbian relationship, like I feel like a flower, like he just plucked me out of it.
Mm.
Now I did go through emotions and feelings. I dealt for the first um 3 months, I dealt with a lot of depression. I did, my normal instinct was to automatically talk to lesbians, you know, that was normal for me. So even as a friend, you know, so I started reaching out, but I was still struggling. I was still in church and I was still struggling spiritually. So that was the worst part. Like, um, I felt so much more conviction on my heart with the relationships that I just couldn't follow through with any of them. Like I was talking to friends and I had opportunities, multiple opportunities to have other relationships. And I was just like, just thinking to myself, I'm so broken, you know, from being in a domestic relationship, you know, a domestic abuse relationship, and then going to a lady that was 20 years older than me,
Mhm.
staying there for all them years, then the other relationship and all the things that have happened, losing my father, the lie that really bothered me that my ex told me had just damaged me a lot. I had a lot of anger in me. I had a lot of hurt. Um, I did many years of counseling. I dealt a lot with my identity. Um, there was a point there, more so towards my last relationship with where I wanted to do the transgender, you know, like
Oh.
I I got so, because I was so torn with being a male or a female, that I was just thinking, like childlike thought, like if I would just be a male, it's going to be okay. I was so torn spiritually
Mhm.
that I was just thinking if I would just be a male, it would be okay. So I actually researched a lot of that and uh, um, bought some testosterone, but I never took it. But I had it in the house, and I thought about, you know, I was really, I started wearing binders, and my children don't really know a lot of that, but I
Mhm.
went through the, you know, probably for about a year to where that was another loophole for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, if I just, you know, get a sex change and change into a male, then I won't have to deal with all this crazy stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But just kind of started falling back together for me. I'm like, but it doesn't change my mind. It's going to change my appearance, my body, but it's not going to change my heart. It's not going to change my mind. So I'm still going to struggle with the same thing.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it out over a year. Um, so I've, where I kind of, so I rededicated my life to God, like right after my ex and I separated, before we got divorced.
Mhm.
Then I set up a baptism through my church. And I was going to get baptized. And on my way to my baptism, we were doing at the ocean. I passed my ex. Well, at that time, we did a quick divorce. We were divorced So it might have been 2 months after we'd separated. So I was driving, I got in my car, she lives very close to me, and I was driving to go to the baptism at the beach, and I passed her in her car
Mhm.
with her new girlfriend. So I did a U-turn and followed her back to her house because I got caught up in my emotions for a moment. I was on my, and I truly believe it was definitely Satan trying trying to stop me from, going ahead with my life. But so I reacted quickly. I pulled in behind her. I was very angry. The Her girlfriend and I had a few words, and she's much younger than me. So I just told her, like, you need to go in the house. I want to talk to her for a moment. And my ex told her to go in the house, and we talked just for a moment. Then the girl came back outside and wanted to fight, or whatever. And my normal reactions were, uh, I'm Irish. I wanted to
Uh,
fight.
you don't have to tell me nothing else. Irish love to fight.
I don't know how much I can say on here, but I wanted to kill her.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was very angry.
Wow.
I told her, you better go inside because I will hurt you really, really bad. Like, I have never felt so much anger in my whole life.
Wow.
And it was a few months after we broke up, but it was the first time that I had seen her with someone else.
Mhm.
So my flesh reacted. And I got very upset, and I truly believe this was God. Like, I've shared the story with a lot of people. Like, the girl said a few inappropriate things, but I just felt like I got emotional, and I just started crying, and I felt like God just picked me up, like cradled me like a baby. I felt like he picked me up. I don't even remember getting in my car. I was so mad, and just put me in my car seat. That's what I felt like. I definitely know, even through my anger and through my emotions and my feelings, I know God was like right there with me. Again, I was on my way to getting baptized. So I just felt like he just put me back in my seat, and I just felt such peace. I was still emotional. I was still crying, but I felt so much peace. And so I just started they went inside, then I just started driving down the road, and it was just like uh Satan was attacking my mind, like it was back and forth, back and forth. It was like, that little saying, angel and the devil here. I was like, I'm not going to get baptized. So I struggled with it, for about 20 minutes, but I continued with it. I made it there. Even when I got there, I, it was just such a spiritual struggle just to get baptized. Like, but I did it. And, even after that, I still had, like, multiple spiritual attacks. Like, I dealt a lot, even after I was baptized, I dealt a lot with suicidal thoughts still, up till a few months ago. And um, I just kept fighting through it,
Mhm.
like God never left me the whole time. Like, um, I had moments, where I laid in bed at night, and I struggled, I struggled with suicide, but I just kept rebuking the devil, and I'm here today. I definitely believe, um, I have a calling for my life.
Mhm.
And I believe this is the end times, and I just, um, a lot on my Facebook and stuff, and my statuses, I tell everybody, like, I feel like I was chosen. I feel like God chose me. Like, he just, I mean, it was a struggle still, but I feel like he chose me. So I feel honored, to be living a different life now. And I don't, he's slowly working on, slowly still working on me. Like,
Yes, yes. Like you just came out, you're fresh.
I'm
Pretty
only
much.
5 I'm only 5 months.
Yeah.
The ninth will be 5 months that I've been,
Like street.
yeah, after 10 years.
So, question I have for you, you're mentioning marriage a lot, and you're when Obama passed the bill to get married. So, did you and her, you guys really believed like you were married, or you knew you both were like delusional at that point? Or did
Oh,
you?
no, I know, I really believed. Well, I mean, we were. That's, it was a legal marriage, and she carried my last name,
No,
and
no, I mean
and
not to like the country, because of course like with
right.
the states,
No,
yes,
I think, yeah, I know what you're
celebrity,
saying. Like,
yeah.
my mentality. Yes. Yeah, I
Uh,
I believed. The first few years was amazing. It was like, because actually we were the second person in our county to get married legally for a lesbian couple. We were number 2 on the list. So I was proud. I was like, finally, even through the spiritual struggles and everything else, like I said, I would have the moments for a couple years, to where I just, and after, it was kind of weird. After I got married legally, it made me feel more masculine, like,
mm,
I don't know. It just did, like,
mm.
um, so yeah,
No, I mean it looks like there's still a battle that is to be won within all this, because I remember I just interviewed Jazz yesterday, and it took him 2 years before he actually had to come out completely out of that lifestyle. And for yourself, um
I'm not going back.
yeah, I mean exactly. So
I'm
it's
not going back. I feel like I, I had this little vision, like, that happened to me in church a couple weeks ago.
mm,
It was just a regular church service, and I was praying, and I feel like um, God shared with me that story of Peter on the boat. Um, I believe, like, God asked him, um, when he was like walking on the water. Uh, God told him, just don't take your eyes off me. Just and you can walk across the water. But I feel like God uh, gave me that vision, like I was Peter, and if I just keep my eyes on him and I don't take my eyes off him, I'm gonna be okay. Like, but if I take my eyes off him, I'm gonna sink. And I feel like he's put that little story on my heart really heavy lately. So I have a good fear of God, like, not like being afraid, um, but I have a good fear, like, but I fear going back. I fear going back into that lifestyle. I I just I feel like I just don't want to sink. Like, I feel like if I go back into that lifestyle, I feel like it's a life or death moment
mm,
for me. Like a physical life or death moment, not a spiritual life or death moment. But I feel like it's a physical life or death moment. I feel
mm,
like God just, I know a lot of people are going to think I'm some crazy religious lesbian after 25 years. To me, what God did in my life is a miracle.
yeah, yeah.
That's just with what I'm going with. Like, I don't even know how it happened. I don't even know how it happened myself. Like, I just know that stuff happened, and I've just continued to grow, and um I just keep staying in the word, and I know what the word says,
Mm,
and I just keep every day I just keep getting stronger, and like, I have I have a lot of plans. I've started writing a book, um and I'm doing a lot of outreach ministry, and I have plans to witness. Something that's been heavy on my heart is also witnessing to the LGBT community. Like, um, I just had a friend ask me today, I think God loves me just who I am. And I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, because, I don't believe that homosexuality is okay. But I was like, you know what? You're right. He does. He loved me the entire 25 years I was gay. So I believe he does love you. But I said, we all have a choice. in life. And if you choose to stay that way, this is my own journey. And I don't really care what anybody thinks. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how anybody criticizes me for religion. And because I deal with a lot of backlash of still being gay. I don't think a lot of people, my church is very supportive, but I don't think a lot of people believe me, especially being 5 months out of a 25-year
So
homosexual
people
life.
still think you're lesbian?
I think some friends and distant friends, that aren't Christians, they're like, yeah, you're
Or they don't,
still,
or they
yeah, they
don't.
don't believe me. They're like, you're still gay.
Why do they say that?
It's because they think that, being a homosexual, well, they're not necessarily religious either, but, like they don't, um, I don't know, they're just not religious, but, they're just, because they don't believe it. They're like, 25 years you've been gay and you can just change 5 months later and just decide you don't want to be gay anymore.
Oh, so they're more looking like,
They're like,
now,
you can't do that. Like
yeah,
you have, your mind is trained 25 years of being a homosexual. Like, how can you just 3 or 4 months later decide you're not gay?
yeah.
But I'm not. I don't even have like, I mean, the first few months I still struggled, but like, and I really don't know like what, I'm excited to see what God has in store for me, because 25 years is a long time. So the
Yeah.
thought of a male, being with a male, being married is nowhere near my mindset.
Mm.
Honestly,
Wait,
nowhere near my mindset.
the thought of like, so the thought of, so your husband, like the one that's, I don't, is your husband like so your
My
kids,
ex,
so is he still alive?
yes,
Okay. And so,
yes, I've talked to him recently, and we're friends.
okay.
Um, but I'm I don't have any attraction there,
Mm.
and I'm not even necessarily like, I'm not even like, I'm excited to have Valentine's Day, like, which would have been my 10-year anniversary to my ex-wife. Valentine's Day, we got married on Valentine's Day, but I'm actually excited, like, this year, uh to just have my Heavenly Father as my Valentine's.
Mm.
Like, I've grown such a deep, intimate relationship with him in the past few months. Like, I don't want anyone else. Like right now, I'm not saying, I know that he has a plan for me. So I just feel like he's healing my heart right now and healing my mind. And I'm just excited if someone were to ask me, like, what are you doing for Valentine's Day, or who's going to be your Valentine's? Like, I'm just excited for it to be Jesus, like, I, I'm, I'm in a good place right now with that. And I'm still healing,
Mm. Would you
but
say, being in that lifestyle over 25 years, you need to have a strong gospel to take you out?
I'm sorry, I didn't really understand what you're saying, like how you're saying that.
No, like, so saying somebody being in that lifestyle for like 25 years, would it like, because you being in it, because a lot of times some homosexuals, they'll go to church and whatnot, and they'll go here left and right, and maybe they'll feel that conviction. But I'm talking about in terms of a strong teaching, like strong discipline, the right word to completely get out that lifestyle. Because 5 months.
I,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't really think, no, like, I have been doing some Bible reading, and I've been reading some books and stuff, but no, I just think, like I said, to me, I feel like it's a miracle,
Mm,
because I couldn't have done it on my own. There's no way, 25 years, I couldn't have done it on my own. And I've prayed about it and asked God, I'm like, God, please, the first couple months, God, please take the feelings away,
mm,
like, and I feel like, uh, I feel like he told me we have to feel, we have to go through the emotions, and we have to go through our pain, and we have to go through our hurt. Even though I felt like taking my life a few times, this is what, going through all them emotions for I know it's a short period, 5 months, it's made me grow spiritually, like, it's made me stronger. Like, um, yeah, but I, I know that I could not have done it on my own. without his presence,
Oh yeah, no,
without
absolutely.
him, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, because even with him, I prayed so much and stuff, but I know that he's been there with me the whole time. Like every night, all them lonely nights crying in bed,
Mm.
the first few nights, I would just pray and I just felt like God was holding me, and I just I'm I'm just very grateful that 25 years being in a homosexual relationship, lesbian relationship, I'm very grateful that he gave me the opportunity again, once again.
Mhm.
And I definitely like feel like it's the end time. So again, I'm very grateful. Like that's why I feel like I can't go back. I don't want to go back. I don't even have that tendency to go back. I did in the beginning, the first few months.
Yeah.
I struggled with it, but now I've just I'm just loving him more and more each day, and it's a comfort for me. It's even a better um I feel more loved now than I felt loved in my relationships. And I feel like that's what I've been looking for all along. And it kind of sucks because it took 25 years, but
Mm.
I feel um so in love with Jesus right now, like that I don't need anything else right now.
Mm. And where do you want to be in a few years from now? Like, where would you want to be? Where would you want to see yourself?
Um I I just want to right now what's on my heart is just to witness to the gay community, like not overwhelm them with, but just I just want to I just want my light to shine, you know, because I was gay for 25 years
Mhm.
and I struggled. And I know I would say probably 75% of the gay community struggle just like I have, because it's not a normal feeling. It's not just like, I don't care what anybody says. I've been there. I've been there a long time. I've talked to a lot of the gay community. I had thousands of gay friends. Most of all of us struggle with that feeling. You just can't get it right.
Mm.
Like it's always back and forth. It's always and some people think like it's a mental disorder, or and I've been there. I thought it was, medication, all kinds of counseling, therapeutic counseling, everything, but nothing ever took me out of that. So, like I just feel like I just feel like God called me out, like just suddenly, like I really can't explain it. I really, I really can't explain why. I'm just grateful.
Well, no, I mean, I would definitely want to see how you're doing in like a year or a few years from now, because coming out of something for
I know. I bet a lot of people don't have a lot of faith, and
Mhm.
uh, I'm sure people are just. I know that a lot of gays and lesbians that find a relationship with God, sometimes they backslide, but I have this fear that I can't.
Mhm.
And it's not like I said, it's not a bad fear, but
Mhm.
I just that's what keeps me going forward. Like, and I just keep growing. I know that God has a calling on my life, and I believe, you know, I'm not even gonna have time to go back into it. I
Mhm.
just don't think I'm even gonna have time to go back into it. Like, I believe that God quickly pulled me out, and um I have, maybe a short journey ahead of me, but I just feel like I feel like I gotta help people, like
Mhm.
um uh help the gay and lesbian community, understand that they're loved, and yes, God loves them, but it's not acceptable, like so I feel like that's what I feel like I want to do, reach out to the gay, not just the gay and lesbian community, but that's where I feel like my heart is, like,
Yeah.
because I understand them. I know what they're going through
Mhm.
because I've been through it, and I feel like they'll be more acceptive of it. coming from somebody that's been through it. And that's why I wanted to share my testimony. That's just what I feel like. I don't know what God has in store for me. I don't know if, maybe there's a husband somewhere down the line, you know, I'm, I'm just game for whatever God has. I just want what he has for my life right now. I don't want anything else. I don't want to date. I don't want, I just have a journey of just, just a course of staying in church, reading the Bible, and just doing what he wants for my life. I don't want anything in my life except for what he wants in my life right now. That's where I see myself for the next couple of years. I don't want anything outside of it. Am I perfect? No,
Oh,
but
nobody is. Me neither.
but I'm very, I just want, I've, I've struggled with this for 25 years, and all of a sudden it's just like magic. it just happened. And I'm like, I think to myself, you know, God, why, why did I have to wait 25 years, but it was my choice.
Yeah.
And but I feel like this time when, he started letting me feel conviction, I feel like, he did more of it than I did. He pulled me out more than I did. I feel like that's what I feel like every time, anything I tried to go back into, even just a little bit, God always puts something up to where I couldn't get back out into that community, like everything. So I just know that, and I've just felt in my heart that um, he has something good in store for me. I just don't know what it is yet. I mean, I have a few things in mind that I've felt on my heart, like with, I started a Facebook page called Taking Back the Rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already like witnessing to multiple people behind closed doors. They don't even hardly realize that they're self, but so many people are watching. Like I've did a few mini testimonies, and like I said, I had a friend today that watched my video, that was asking questions, but they're seeing a change. They're seeing a change in me, and they're like curious of what's happening. So
I mean,
I'm just I'm just led to, change people's lives, for God to do it through me, like to let my light shine and see that 25 years, again, like I said, it's like a miracle, I don't think anybody could do that on their own mentally.
yeah, no, I mean,
So I give all the credit to God. Like that's what amazes me. It's miraculous because I know what I've struggled with for 25 years, and to just feel like I am right now at this moment, like I'm just overwhelmed with his presence, and I feel good. I feel like, the only thing I do struggle with a little bit is, changing my appearance, but I don't feel like I prayed about it, and I don't feel like I have to change my appearance. Like my heart has changed, and I know a lot of people out there are not going to think that because of my appearance, but I've touched so many people just in the past 4 or 5 months, and they tell me that they don't understand like how I've changed, because they're like, you glow, you have like a glow about you. And I said, it's not me, it's Jesus in me, you know? So I'm at a good, I don't even have any doubt that I'm going backwards. So I just know I'm going ahead from here. And
I mean, we all have struggles. Everybody, they're struggling with something. And in terms of one thing, my leaders always said is, when you could go to God however you are, but when you're as you're with God, it'll be impossible for somebody to remain as they are. And I mean, from what I see from the way you're mentioning, you're completely convinced where you're not going back, and that's amazing. Because you're different, like a lot. They were so for the community and all this and that, but you weren't for it at all. Like the fact that you knew it was wrong, it looked like you went through. I mean, not look like you did go through a lot. And honestly, it's I tell people, when you really like, when you really want to be right with God, you're going to be right. I'm confident if you really want to, sincerely, deep down, want to get right with God, you will get right with him. It's there's no, you're gonna have a lot to deal with, especially the lifestyle, because everybody's different. Some people's holes are deeper than others, so it's very more tough, to come out of it. And it's some people, probably little tiny hole, it won't take much. But someone like, imagine, someone that was making $1 million selling something contradicted to the scriptures. It's not going to be easy for that
Right.
someone to just say, hey, you know what, all right, forget the million a month and I'm going to follow God. But somebody who wants to really be right with God, they're not even going to think about that million, so that's what for you, it's, I'm glad, it took good courage for you to come out. This is very bold. If nobody's ever told you what you did is very bold, because you're so, I don't think you're not just simply confident in yourself, but you're confident that God could keep you out of that lifestyle, because
I'm very confident.
yeah, because anybody who just comes out of something, they're gonna give it some more time, before they'll, even have a testimony or share it with others. But you, I think 5 months, and you're already like, nah, I'm not going back. That's that. And I don't know what it is that God has for me, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep pushing forward, regardless of it, because I know I'm not going back. And like I said, everybody has struggles. Everybody does. Just because my struggle and your struggle isn't the same, it doesn't mean I don't struggle. It doesn't mean that you don't struggle. So everybody's gonna go through struggles. But um, before we quit, I just wanted to know what message, like, what would you want to tell? I mean, being a woman, because 25 years, that could talk to a lot of people who have not been a lesbian for even that long. I know some have not even been born that long and they're already lesbian. So what would you want to tell, the a girl who's watching this? She's convinced she loves girls. She's convinced she's probably in love with one. She plans so many things with this one. What can you tell her right now?
Well, I mean, again, like I feel like God didn't let go of me the whole time.
Mm,
So I feel like I had that spiritual connection, all along. So I feel like that was mostly what helped me get to where I am today. But like I just I just I struggled. Even the first couple months I struggled, like I said, a lot with suicide and stuff. So I had to still go through my feelings, but I stuck with this one little phrase, every time if I would ride down the road and I passed my ex in her car, or looking at pictures, memories on Facebook. I hated memories on Facebook. The memories pop up and stuff, every time I just had a mindset to where something reminded me of my past. I would just say, I trust you, God.
mm,
That's what I said when I went to bed at night. And, in the evening time, memories get to rolling, you get to thinking, you're slowed down. I would get emotional, and that's how I shut everything off. Like that was my shut off switch for everything, every picture I seen, every memory, every smell, every food, everything that reminded me of my marriage. When it came up, I would just say, I trust you, God. And I would keep saying it until I didn't think about it anymore.
mm,
Like just if I was looking at a picture and all of a sudden I would start crying because you go back through them 10 years of that relationship and I missed her, then I would just say, it was like a shut off switch for me. I would just say, I trust you, God. I trust you, God. I trust you. And I would just keep saying it until I just got distracted. That's what I feel that, with God's help, that's what got me through the hardest time. But like, I don't believe that, in the Bible, God made Adam and Eve. There's always jokes about Adam and Steve and this and that, but he made us to reproduce, that's, and I, I don't know. I don't, I'm still sensitive to the gay community. Like I'm compassionate for them and like, um, because it was my family. but um I don't I don't believe it's okay. And I believe that it's that you can change that mindset, but I really don't think that people can do it without God.
Mm. Wonderful.
I don't think any therapeutic counseling, any camps, any medications, I don't think that you can change that lifestyle. Maybe if you just had a one-time affair or something, just tried it or whatever. But as being in that lifestyle, I, and I also, went by that scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me all the time. And then I just said, I trust God. And every time something and still now, anytime, I don't really have too much of a problem with it lately because I'm doing a lot of Bible study, a lot of praying and just keeping my soul filled with good, positive stuff, but we're still human. So, if I ride by her down the road, I think a little bit, like I'm like, but then I've changed my perspective at looking at it. I'm like, just a few days ago, I seen her. And now when I look at her and I just wave at her in the car and I'm like, I say, thank you, God. I know that you're going to take what we had and turn it into good. So I believe in my heart somewhere down the road, even though she chose to be in another relationship, I trust God. I trust God that I know that he called both of us out of it. And I believe that he will deliver her also, along with some friends of mine. And that's just, I know he's going to. I don't have any doubt in my mind. And that's just what I go with. I pray for her every day. I pray for my friends that are in the community, the LGBT community. And I don't, I don't have any doubt. I know that he has plans. I was very close to her and I loved her and cared about her. And he put her, he didn't put her, he allowed her to be in my life. We crossed paths with people for some type of reason. So I know that them years that I spent with her, God has a plan for her too. And I just, I don't, I don't, I don't doubt it. And I think with all these relationships, like I definitely feel lately that God is going to be calling a lot more people out because he needs us,
Mm.
you know, to reach. Is he going to be able to call everybody out? Well, I mean, he has the power to do whatever, but is he going to or whatever? But I feel like a lot of the gay and lesbian community are going to be called out, like his chosen ones, to come out and witness to other people, before he comes back. And if you look at the community, the gay and lesbian community, and you look at the people that are being called out, like most of them, um, most of them are witnessing. Most of them are evangelizing, witnessing. They're not just going to church. They're going out. They're sharing their testimonies, and they're trying to, um, tell the community like what God has done for them. That's how I feel. Like most everybody that I know personally know people that have came out of that relationship lately. That um, the homosexuality relationships, and most of them are now leaders in the churches, and they want, like I just talked to my pastor a few weeks ago, like that's what my heart is. My heart's desire is to help that community of
Mm.
homosexual people, because you are not, well, as far as I know, not a homosexual. You've never experienced that relationship, so you don't understand. You can sit here and listen to my testimony and everything, but you don't really know truly how I feel. But they do, because it's just like being an alcoholic or on drugs.
Mm.
They've So I feel like we
There's like a
connect in that
different
area.
understanding, pretty much.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's just where I feel I'm going to be called back into that. Just, that's where we can, just end this with, that's where I believe God takes the bad and turns it into good,
Mm. Oh,
so.
I mean, thank you for that. For myself and for everyone, this concludes the episode. Um, what I would say is I mean, it's a tough lifestyle. As I said it, moreover, I don't hate you guys, whoever's in it. But to come out, I know to come out of anything, not even just being a homosexual. If somebody that's just stealing or
Drug.
gambling,
Alcohol.
drugs, alcohol, lusting, pornography, my days, the list goes on. You know, it takes, from me, my experience, from what God had to bring me out of, I needed a strong teaching to bring me out of that. I had to have a strong gospel, because I was going to church here and there, but it was, I'd be convicted for a moment's time. And I tell people, moreover, whenever you get the chance, you can search him up, Geno Jennings. And the reason why I encourage people to search up Geno Jennings is because he doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care how rich you are, whatever money. He really doesn't. He's really after people's souls so that it can get right with God. And his teaching,
Right.
people may get offended and all this and that, but I love it. I love every single thing that everything. I believe everything that everything, and it's to get you right with God. You
He's
need,
just real.
yeah,
He's real.
yeah. You
I
need,
like real people.
you need like a very strong teaching. One thing. Hopefully, one day I can have him on the podcast as well. But there was actually a pastor in he's a pastor in First Church from Australia. He was actually supposed to die. Like family set up a funeral for him and everything. He was supposed to be dead. And fast forward, he didn't die. And moreover, he said there was, like, I think his for a pastor that he used to, a church he used to go to, said there's something that's in him that he just can't see. And then he realized that it wasn't for that pastor to see. It wasn't for him, and it was for the apostle, Pastor Geno Jennings. It goes a bit like that, but I'll definitely hopefully have him on the show. But like I say, moreover, anybody, if you are absolutely want and have the willingness to get right with God, it's a no guarantee. And the thing about it as well, if there's questions you need to ask, whatever the case is, pretty sure there's information for that to send out. Headquarters is located in Philadelphia. There is temples everywhere. I know that you mentioned in Florida. There is a temple in Florida as well. It's anybody go, right? If people love God, if they love the teachings, there should be no problem with going in there and getting the word. So that's what I would leave it off with, is if there's if anything, and this is to anything you want to come out of, it needs to be strong teaching. So I mean, that concludes today's episode. Thank you very much, Lori, for taking time out of your day, taking time to come here and, share your testimony and keep it real. You're not making it seem like it's all, hey, I'm out of this lifestyle. And no, it is. You know,
Right.
I see pain, there's still things you're going through. And like I said, we all go through it, and it's you're showing what the battles you were this, and it's tough. It was struggles at the first couple. It's not easy. This just goes to show it's not easy. If it was easy, I'm pretty sure the LGBT community would be to an all-time low, but it isn't.
It's a
And
choice.
it's a choice. So it's thank you
Yeah.
very much for coming on. I'm really appreciative of it. Um, I
Thank you
hope
so much.
I hope nothing but the best. I'm sure we'll keep contact going forward. I'll definitely be praying for you. Greet the family, greet everybody. Hopefully, I'll come visit. What's it called again?
New Smyrna Beach.
New Smyrna Beach. I've never heard of it, but I would. Seems like it's a very small town, which I would not mind to come and visit around and see how it is. So once again, thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Share this with whoever you can. Like, my ultimate goal is that there is be one person literally watching this and understanding, man. You know what? I can happen. If she was in it for 25 years, there's no way, God can't take me out of something I've been in 10 years. And even if you're
Amen.
atheist, you may not believe, but trust me, as you said it, therapy and this and that, like, it won't work. This is someone that's been in it for 25 years. Don't look at me. Don't say, oh, Sundin, you're just saying that, blah, blah. There's someone right here who told you it will not work. And some of you are probably in process of trying over and over this therapy, maybe some pills and maybe this and that. You're moving a whole different country, moving a whole different continent, but you're still battling that same, struggle. So thank you very much, Lori. You have something to say?
I said, God is good
Yes, no, God is good all the time, all the time. So
all
thank
the
you very
time. God
much.
is good.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Lori.
God
I
bless you.
really appreciate it. You have yourself a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will talk soon. Everybody else, take care. God
Thank
bless,
you.
and peace be unto you all. Your boy, Sundin Esperance. All right. Take care, Lori.